This is a question and answer video number 2. I have over the last few months received a whole bunch of questions, either from comments on YouTube videos or some have been tweets. People would tweet me. I do these because people who ask questions on a particular video, they put the comment on that one video, and if you don't see that video, you may not see the comment, you don't know the question was asked. But you may have the same question. So for that reason, I do these question and answer series. I will have a list of the questions in the description down below, so if there's a particular question you're interested in, you can skip down to that particular spot in the video and you're not waiting to watch the whole video. Of course, you're welcome to watch the whole video too, I don't care. So let's get started. I received a question from a high school student. I don't know where they're from or anything, but it says, "It's 16 years old. What books should I use?" And at the time I replied back, if you're high school age or older, and high school age to me is 14 years or older, you can go ahead and use any of the adult books you want. Because at that point you're mature enough and you've had enough education, you can read and understand what the book is saying. Go ahead and just use the adult books at that point. Now if you don't have any adult books, all you have are the children's books, you have to use what you have. I will eventually cover the children's books in this channel, but I'm doing the adult books first. If you have a chance to actually open up the books and see what's inside them, you might pick books with pieces in it that you think you might like to learn, and that might guide you toward which book or books you want to tackle. You don't have to just do one book. If you don't have a teacher, you can use multiple method books and go through them, and you get more exposure to the stuff, more practice, and more pieces to play. It can be a lot of fun. I received a question on one of the YouTube videos on one of the level 1 books at the beginning, and it said all the rest are not shown in the music. Why not? And the answer to that mainly is that when a method book is presenting all these music symbols to you, they can't throw everything at you, it'd blow you out of the water, so to speak. It's too much. So they introduce a few things and they use what they introduce. So if they haven't introduced rests yet, they can't show them yet. So a lot of the music in the beginner, the first few lessons, are technically incorrect because they're missing rests. They're missing a lot of information in there. So that's why they're not showing all of the rests. Now once all the rests are presented to you and all the notes and the time signatures and all that stuff, at that point they should always be shown in all the staffs involved. One person asked, "What do you mean accent every note?" And I'm really not sure at this point where that came from or what it was. I remember saying it somewhere. The idea with accenting notes is either they give you an accent mark in the music, in which case you accent the note, and if they have an accent mark on every note, you accent every note. Otherwise, accents used are natural accents, and those are kind of standard. And you feel a natural. That's why they're natural. They just naturally happen. You feel them. One person asked, do I push the pedal down all the way to the floor, or do I push it down, say, 10 degrees or 20 degrees or whatever? As far as all the repertoire goes in these method books so far, I push the pedal down all the way. Different pianos are different here. You're safe pushing the pedal down all the way. There is some classical pieces, some more advanced pieces where the pedal only goes down a little bit. I don't know if exactly the angle it goes down, 10 degrees or 20 or whatever, because that varies by piano. Pianos are adjusted differently. In one piano, you push it down a little more than another piano in order to get the dampers to raise. I had a bit of a problem recently when I did a solo for the piano club. I played it on a piano where the pedal was quite different than mine. On this piano that I'm using in these videos, when I push the pedal down, the dampers raise almost immediately. I don't have to push the pedal down very far to get the dampers off the strings. But when I was playing on this lady's piano, I had to push it almost all the way down to get the dampers to move at all. And I wasn't accustomed to that, and that caused me some problems. Because I do what's known as quarter pedaling and half pedaling, and that's where you're not pushing the pedal down all the way, you're pushing it down part way. I do that on a lot of the more advanced pieces, and it messed me up just a little on that one. But with an electronic piano and the pedal associated to it, you have to experiment. How far down do you push the pedal to get the sound to sustain? But as far as the music in these method books go, I recommend you push the pedal all the way down every time. One person asked, why am I not doing the dynamics in the pieces? And the reason simply is that I want you to hear the notes. All right? I don't want you to take what I'm playing and say, okay, that's how it should be done. I'm not performing it for you. And the reason is because I don't want you to just listen to me and copy me. That is a huge mistake people make. It's an easy mistake to make. I want you to be able to experiment on those dynamics, and you figure them out and you use them, make it yours. Okay? I'm just playing it so you can hear the right notes and the right rhythms. Because if you had a piano teacher sitting there with you and you played for the teacher, if you play a wrong note, that teacher will tell you you played a wrong note. At least I hope they do. But when you're by yourself and you're just doing it yourself, you may not realize you played a wrong note, because not all wrong notes sound wrong. That's the problem. That's the problem I had back when I was, it's a problem I still have. I play a wrong note, I don't realize it. Because it sounds okay. I'm doing this so you can hear the notes I'm playing. I'm hoping you play along with me and compare the note that you're playing to what I'm playing and make sure they're the same note. And probably would be best if you did it one hand at a time, so you could focus on the hand, just one hand and not everything. So I don't do the dynamics in this. On the demos, I try and do a little bit, but I'm disappointed because it doesn't come out in the final video very well, because the electronics I'm using adjusts the sound and it kind of levels it out, and I haven't figured out how to control that well enough to use it. Okay, if I turn the automatic sound adjustment thing off, well then when I'm talking you can't hear me, it's so soft, but then when the piano's playing it's so loud you can't stand it. I'm thinking, what's going on? So I still have to figure out the audio on these to, if I can ever get that, then I can start actually doing dynamics and demonstrating that for you a little better. One person asked what the best setting would be on a metronome, the speed on a metronome to play a piece. That's a hard one because there's no set answer to that. When you're first learning a piece, you have to take it slowly enough to get all the notes and rhythms. That means if you're going to use a metronome, you have to set the metronome slowly, and it's different for everybody. So you have to find the speed which allows you to learn the notes and rhythms correctly, and then you can gradually speed the metronome up until you get it up to the speed the piece is supposed to go. So that's as close to that as I can come. One person asked about the fourth and fifth fingers. They said they have small hands and it's a struggle for them to use the fourth and fifth fingers at an interval of a third apart, because I keep lecturing on that. And I replied back that yes, I understand your situation because I've seen other people have it, but I would encourage you to keep working at it and try and spread these fingers as best you can. Over time it gets less uncomfortable with it. Keep at it. I can't stress it enough, the importance of using the fourth and fifth fingers at an interval of a third if you can. Now I had one teacher a long time ago, was a concert pianist, and she could barely reach an octave. I mean, when she would stretch, really stretch, she could just reach the octave. That's how small her hands were. But she could play pieces that required intervals of bigger than an octave. And she played them with such ease She didn't play the notes at the same time. You play one note and then the other, but she just played it with such ease. It just astounded me at how well she did. So small hands doesn't mean you can't play these big things. If you can't reach an interval, it's too big for you, you play the bottom note and then the top note very quickly, one and then the other is how you do it. But you keep trying, and an octave is such an important interval. I would really encourage you, hopefully you can at least stretch an octave. That's kind of important. One person wrote a comment that they didn't understand why I was doing all these videos. Why am I giving out all this knowledge for free? Because typically lessons cost a lot of money. Here in the Phoenix area, an hour music lesson costs around $50. And is really expensive. I think that's expensive. There are some commercial sites on YouTube and elsewhere that will give you some information for free, but if you want all of it, you have to pay. Well, then I come along and I'm just sharing it all to you. Here, have it. Have fun with it. Good luck. And the reason is because I don't see why music has to cost so much money to learn. I just don't agree with that. I understand people are having to make a living. Music teachers, you need to make a living. Please understand that the information I'm sharing you, some of it is controversial. Other teachers don't agree. I was taught certain things, and I had different teachers who taught me different things. They were contradictory things. I just quietly went along, and I knew when it was all said and done, I'd be able to take bits and pieces from all these teachers and put them together, and then maybe I could understand what's going on. Well, I was sort of right. I took bits and pieces and put them all together, but there's some things I still haven't figured out what's going on. So I'm teaching you how I was taught and how I taught my students when I taught. And you can get out of it what you get, and if other people disagree, that's fine. Let them disagree. I don't have a problem with it. One person asked, or indicated that on one piece, and I don't remember which piece it is now, where the music indicated a legato, or it didn't have any indication of anything, and I was playing a sort of a staccato or a separated or whatever. I don't know. I wasn't playing it like the music was written. There's two possibilities to this. Either I just flat made a mistake, because if it's marked with a slur or whatever, I mean, that's a clear indication of legato. You play it legato, you don't have a choice. It's legato, period. But if there's no indication of any kind, then it's up to you how you want to play it. And depending on the nature of the piece and the style of the piece, I tend to, over the years, I've just learned to interpret things certain ways, and out of habit, I will play things certain ways. So if it didn't have a slur, I may have separated the notes or played some of them staccato, whatever, just out of habit. You have to watch for that kind of stuff. If it did have a slur, and I'm not playing it that way, please bring it to my attention, because then I'm incorrect and I need to go back and re-record that and fix it, because I would like these recordings to be accurate if possible. A few people have pointed out some errors for me, and I thank you for that very much. I've gone back and redid the video. In some cases I just redid part of it, in other cases I just re-recorded the whole thing. One of the viewers suggested something, and I think it's an excellent suggestion if you can, and that is that when you're actually playing, it can be very difficult to really hear the mistakes you're making. Yeah, and it's true, it can be. But if you would record yourself and then go back and listen to the recording, it could help tremendously, because you can follow the music in the recording and you can hear, in many cases, mistakes you were making that you didn't realize you were making. And that can help out a great deal. One person asked, they're in the Alfred Book 2 series now, and they'd like to add another book along, and what would I suggest? And that's a tricky question, because the field is wide open. There's so many things that I could suggest. You could go to another method book on its book 2 or level 2, if it's approximately the same level where you're at, and go through it, and you got more. There are a number of supplemental books with many of these method books. Go with those, play those, start those out. Some of the books are real good about the repertoire and not so good about their methods explaining things. I mean, you can get the John Thompson book has some great pieces in it. I like the John Thompson series. The Suzuki can provide you a lot of nice pieces to play. Faber has a great bunch of pieces. I hate to single out certain ones because I've made it a point not to judge any of these method books. I'm just presenting the material in them. But some of them have some really nice pieces in it that are fun to play. The Bastion series, the Sham series is just, I can probably list all of them I've covered pretty much. It's your choice. Hopefully you have some music store handy where you can go and look inside the books and see what it is. It's hard to do when you're looking on the internet if you're ordering off the internet. Or if you have other people who play piano or teach piano, see if you can look at some of their books just to get an idea if they'll let you look at them.